Welcome back to another episode of Rob Sports Center, man. So as you can see by the title, man, me and one of my buddies, we always be talking about athleticism. We always be talking about skill. So I did this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that I did do another video, kind of briefly touching on this topic, about basketball, athleticism and skill. And then again, I might never did do it, but I thought maybe I might have done it because I remember doing a video similar to something like this before. But anyways, as you can see by the title, man, it's, the title of this video is, I don't know exactly what the title is going to be, but basically it's going to have something to do with being naturally athletic and skill. And I say the thing about it is this, right? So what I want people to understand, I'm not saying that, people that have natural athleticism isn't skilled. I'm just kind of breaking down the difference between athleticism and skill. So to me, athleticism is one of those things where you got some guys that just can jump out the gym without ever really having to train and focus on it. You got some guys that's just super fast without ever really having to train or focus on it. You got some guys that just have pretty quick feet without ever having to train or focus on it, because those are like what you would consider natural athleticism. Like you got some guys like that. I don't care how much training I do, I probably would never be able to go out there and run a 9.5 in the 100 meter like Usain Bolt. And there's probably a lot of other guys that's super, super fast, but they don't have the ability to be able to go out there and run that type of time. It just is what it is. So that's what I mean by natural athleticism. Like, think about it when you're looking at, like, this stuff really shows when you go looking at younger or, small, like younger age groups whenever they playing sports, like, whether it be peewee, whether it be middle school, or whether they get to high school. And you kind of can just tell one guy that's just above the others just off of natural athleticism. Like I say, it's like, to me, athleticism is one of those things where with guys that kind of have natural athleticism, they can do certain things, but they can't really tell you how they do it or how they know how to do it. And it's almost like it's just that natural instinct and that natural athleticism. Now, this is what I consider skill. So think about football. That's the reason why in the thumbnail I put Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady. It's not a video comparing the two, but these are two examples of what I'm trying to, communicate in this video. So when you look at a guy like Tom Brady wasn't the fastest. Tom Brady couldn't jump the highest. Tom Brady probably didn't have the strongest arm. It was a lot of things physically that Tom Brady didn't have. Now, where Tom Brady excelled at was work ethic and constantly drilling the fundamentals, and you might say, okay, what's the fundamentals? Fundamentals is pinpoint accurate passings, being able to put the ball in certain positions for the receiver to run after the catch, or to be able to have his receiver brace for hits, being able to have the proper footwork and mechanics in the pocket, whether it's from under the center or whether he's taking it directly from the shotgun, to be able to get passes to his receivers in a timely manner. You know what I mean? And even just his approach and preparation. So when you got guys like Tom Brady that is able to do things, I promise you can ask Brady, how did you know to do that? And he's going to say, okay, either from film, I noticed X, Y, and Z, or he's going to say over the course of this game, I noticed X, Y, Z. And that's his strength, is he's very observant and he's very attention to detail. See, a guy like Lamar Jackson, I'm not saying that he's not observant. I'm not saying he's not attention to detail. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have to work hard to be able to do what he does. He does work hard to be able to do what he does. Obviously, he wouldn't be at this level doing it as good as he's been doing it. But obviously, there's just certain things naturally he can do a lot better than Tom Brady whenever it comes to physical things. So when you look at a guy like that, he can make things happen. Like, it'd be certain plays you see Lamar Jackson making, you just be like, man, what the heck did I just see? It was a video game like play. And those are just abilities that he has. Whereas with Tom Brady, it's more so kind of having to dive into and drill the fundamentals. Like, when you look at what fundamentals are, right? So if you're looking at trying to teach a quarterback, if you're trying to develop a quarterback and you're trying to get him to be a true field general or play the game in a sense how some people feel it should be played as a quarterback, being a pocket passer, basically, then you will probably try to model that after Tom Brady, right? Now, you can't model what Lamar Jackson does for a lot of athletes because they don't have the physical ability to do that. What Tom Brady does at such a high level in terms of his execution and just the fundamentals, those are things that can be developed. Now, would they be exactly as lethal as Tom Brady? I mean, it just all depends on the time that they put into their craft and working on whatever it is that they're working on getting better at. But those are the things we talk about when we have those fundamentals. So that's the difference. Like I was having this, I had this thought the other day and I was just thinking about this. Like you got some guys, like think about some of the most naturally athletic guys that's came through the National Football League. You know, to me, one of the ones that stands out to me still to this day is Josh Gordon. If you're not familiar with Josh Gordon, he was a receiver who was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. He had a lot of stuff going on off the field with substance abuse issues, and he kind of bounced around from team to team and never really had a consistent career just because of the off the field thing. But this guy, man, I'm talking about, you know, one season had back-to-back 200-yard receiving games. Had several different quarterbacks, obviously being drafted by the Cleveland Browns. That let you know what he was coming into in terms of as a receiver and kind of bouncing around from quarterbacks, probably different offensive coordinators, X, Y, Z, and he always performed. And there would be times where this guy would be suspended, you know, for a season and come back the following season and play and pick up right where he left off. It's just everything looked so, you know, natural to him. You know, he was as complete as you can ask for in a receiver, you know, about 6'4", pretty fast, can catch the ball, can catch balls underneath, run after the catch, can make deep catches down the field. I didn't really look at him too much in terms of blocking, but those physical attributes he had, right? And it was just like, to me, you got a lot of guys, you know, that's come through like that. You know, you might say guys like Terrell Pryor, who was a quarterback that eventually moved him to wide receiver. You could say guys like Colin Kaepernick, whenever he came in and what he was able to do within the small time frame with the 49ers. So I say that to say, you look at some of the most naturally athletic, obviously, you know, Randy Moss, but I think that it was a combination of work ethic and skill as well as that. And that's why he was to the magnitude that he's at, because you got some that that does have both. You have some guys that does have that natural athleticism, and then they have the work ethic to drill the fundamentals that contributes to the skill. And you pair both of those together, you get your Randy Mosses, you get your Michael Jordans, you get your LeBron James, you get those guys that's so dominant for so long, right? But we're going to go back to the skill thing. So when you look at guys like Tom Brady, when you look at guys like Drew Brees, when you look at guys like Peyton Manning, when you look at guys like, you know, Jerry Rice, when you look at guys like Marvin Harrison, when you look at guys like, let's say Frank Gore, when you look at those type of guys, these are guys that had long careers in the NFL. Why? Because I'm not saying that they didn't have top tier athleticism. I'm not saying that at all. Obviously, you do have to have athleticism, because outside of that, there's no way you can get to the NFL without having some type. You know, it just might not be up to the magnitude of others. You know, even when you look at receivers, you look at some receivers that came through, they might have had one good year, 2 good years, but it's the ones that constantly drill the basic fundamentals. So we're going to say, okay, what is the basic fundamentals when it comes to receivers, right? Being able to, route running, obviously, being able to run every single route on the route tree, being able to catch the ball, and being able to catch the ball with your hands, and being able to high point and catch to this highest point whenever necessary. So those are like the skills, having the basic footwork, making sure that your feet are underneath you whenever you're breaking down and coming in and out of your routes. That is the basic fundamentals. Now, if you was to say athleticism, that'd be one guy you put on the outside and you just say, hey, run down the field, we're going to throw the ball up there to you. I don't care if it's on one person. I don't care if it's on double coverage. Some situations like Calvin Johnson, I don't care if he's in triple coverage. We still going to take that risk, and we believe 9 times out of 10, you're going to come up with that ball. And most of the time that is the case. But when you look at these guys I just previously named, their careers was made off of drilling the fundamentals over and over and over and over and over again, right? If I'm a receiver, I need to be trying to catch and run routes as much as I possibly can. Why? Because that's the nature of the position. If I'm a quarterback, I need to be trying to work on my throwing mechanics, working on my footwork with my throws, trying to make sure that I'm throwing the ball as accurate as possible, making sure that I'm putting a tight zip on it where I can fit into those small windows. Those are like what we consider the fundamentals. A fundamental isn't a quarterback being able to play off script using their athleticism to create plays down the field. Now, granted, the game has evolved so much that we see that much more with the quarterbacks, but that's not fundamentals, because sometimes athleticism can put you in compromising positions in games, whereas if you would have stuck to the fundamentals, things probably would have went a little differently, right? You look, as prime example, let's look at the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City game from this past season in the playoffs. And I'm not saying that Josh Allen did anything wrong, but with Josh Allen rolling out the pocket on that last throw right before that Spags sent that blitz, the corner blitz, when he rolled out the pocket, he was rolling right, and he rolled right into the corner, blitzing off. Now, had he stayed in the pocket and was able to either step up, step left, step right, and just try to buy more time, and if it wasn't nothing there, and if the edge rusher rushes past him, it gives him a running lane then. But if he was to sit back there in the pocket, who knows? He could have made that play. He could have got the ball down the field a little bit farther than what he did, having to try to throw it off balance. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean to me when I think about the comparison of natural athleticism on top of skill. Like, obviously, for this video, I got Lamar Jackson displayed, and you're seeing the things that he's able to do. But I also want to be able to dive into it a little bit more deeper as well. Like, briefly, I just chose to touch on this just because I haven't put a video out in a while, and this was fresh on my mind. But I most definitely want to do film and kind of go back and look at what I'm trying to get you guys to understand in terms of like working hard and beating on those small things in terms of your mechanics of whatever position you play to perfect that to the point to where it just looks like it's natural. You know what I mean? But I'm curious to hear you guys' take on that, man. If it was anything that you agree with that I said, man, let me know in the comments. If there's anything that you disagree with, let me know in the comments. And if it's anything that you felt that I might have left out, let me know in the comments. I always look forward to hearing you guys' opinion, you know, whether you are agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. That's what makes it even more exciting doing that. But, man, if you did enjoy this video, do me a big favor. Smash that thumbs up button. Also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. When you subscribe, make sure that notification bell is turned on. That way you'll get every video whenever I upload. And I'll see y'all in the next video, man.